for 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us, that somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country.
And there you have it. Utah Governor Spencer Cox said he prayed for 33 hours that the killer wasn't one of us. What he meant was clear. He was praying it wasn't a white Republican. He wanted to pin it on a black person, a Latino, an Asian, an immigrant, someone queer, someone trans. He wanted anyone else to take the blame. That's not praying. That's bigotry. That's scapegoating. And it tells you exactly where his priorities lie. Protecting his party instead of facing reality. That the violence is coming from within. Well, sir, your prayers weren't answered. Tyler Robinson was a registered Republican, homegrown in Utah. A white Republican.
He said, God damn it. I thought we was gonna get our race war started. We can't get a race war started with this. Who the fuck hired the white guy? I thought we were supposed to get somebody with some color. How are we gonna start a race war with this guy? He big sad that they can't blame it on a black person. They can't blame it on a brown person. They can't blame it on a motherfucker from another country. It was your own homegrown terrorist that y'all love to raise. That's exactly who it was. The usual suspect. MAGA on MAGA crime. That's what it is. So just go ahead and accept it. It was one of y'all.
Greetings, my beautiful people. I hope you're doing fantastic and welcome back to my channel. So many people were stunned to learn that the suspected killer of Charlie Kirk was not someone from outsider, was not an immigrant and was not a person of color, but was a white man. But what set the social media on fire is a disturbing comments made by Utah's governor that he said for 33 hours he prayed that if something like that ever happened, he hoped that it wouldn't be one of them, that it would be someone from another state or from another country. So this statement itself has sparked outrage, across the nation. So let's get to see the reactions. Then we come back with some commentary. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing so you never miss any update from my videos. Let's dive into it.
So let me get this straight. The Conservative Party, the grand old party, has been out in these streets for the last couple of days talking about this is war, we want a war with the liberals, with the Democrats, for what happened to old Charlie. And it turns out Tyler, the man who popped Charlie, is one of y'all. Now break that math down for me. Y'all have been out here wanting to incite violence against liberals. Was sure in your mind that Democrats caused this, and it was one of your own people. 1 + 1 not equaling 2 on this. Furthermore, just to show the level of incompetence running our government, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, headed by Kash Patel, didn't even find his brother. His family turned him in. And you got the FBI director today talking about some rest well, brother. I'll see you in Valhalla. What in tarnation is going on here? Ladies and gentlemen, we are run by fools.
All right, American visitors, what you gotta say now? The suspect looks like you and me. Before we could even get the story, your narrative was preloaded and ready to go. Literally hopped right on the self-harm pipeline, didn't ya? You just exposed yourself for your support for hatred, you know that, right? Because you understood who Necklace could have as a potential enemy. And your tiny mind couldn't fathom anyone else doing this other than Black Americans. When it was one of you the whole fucking time. Dad's a retired cop, Utah resident, registered Republicans, no criminal history, suburb living, racist ancestors, same story over and over and over again. You just don't get it, do you? It's you! Always has been you. And it always will be you. You have no one else to blame for the world's problems. It's you people. Blaming black people for everything that you do is so stupid and draining. This gaslighting strategy is just emotional immaturity weaponized into a political tool. A tool that costs lives. And look at the price that was paid. I mean, his last words were racist and the chef's kiss of irony. When will you learn? Your schools are targeted by your own. Because the predominantly black schools are heavily guarded with law enforcement. Remember that? You still want America to believe that you aren't America's only problem? You better hope that every race that you harm doesn't join forces and make us the problem that needs to be solved. Because they would be justified.
So I don't know if any of you watched the press conference today. I want to talk about what the governor of Utah said, which was that he really hoped that it wasn't someone from his state. He went on to say that he hoped it was someone from another state. He hoped it was someone from another country. Now, then he goes on to say that the division in the politics needs to stop. He in no way gave a speech today to me that would say, oh, he wants it to stop. I thought my governor was bad. Ugh. Tate Reeves, jeez. I thought he was radicalized. When you think about the stuff that he was saying, the governor, his mind shows to me that he is more focused on blaming actual problems here in America on homegrown soil. They are so much more focused on finding other reasons to blame stuff on, just like a narcissist, right? When they know that there is really a problem, they are so much more focused on finding other reasons to excuse the problem. It's a homegrown terroristic act, just like all of the other school shootings. And that's the issue that needs to be fixed. It's not looking for people outside of your state or out of the country. You know, this is here. This is at home. This is something that needs to be addressed again. And one last thing I want to talk about. I looked at a lot of the comments that were going on during that live, and oh my God, so many threats on left-leaners.
The governor of Utah stated that he prayed 33 hours in hopes that it was not a person from Utah, in hopes that it may have been an immigrant or a Latino or a black person or a Democrat or someone else, I assume. But he prayed for 33 hours. This is the guy we need. I would like to suggest to you, Governor of Utah, could you possibly pray for Charlie Kirk's family, that they get through what they're going through? Could you pray for all the other families, regardless of their color, regardless of their stature, regardless anyone else who's lost a loved one? Could you pray for their family? Could you pray that our economy gets better? Could you pray that our administration release the Epstein files? Could you pray that maybe we could live a week, a month, or a year, or a decade, or a century with racism and bigotry being put to the side? Could you pray for something that's going to benefit everyone and not just one? Could you pray that maybe one day the state of Utah will have more than just a basketball team? Could you pray?
God, please, I've been praying for 33 hours. Praying for 33 hours. Please, please, please don't let him be one of us. Just make him, an immigrant. Make him a brown individual. Transgendered. Just don't make him one of us. Maybe outside of the state. California, maybe. I'll take New York too, any of those states, but please not someone from Utah. Please, no, we cannot. We cannot. You found them? You found him? Yes. Is he black? No. Brown? An immigrant? Transgender? Oh. Who is he then? No, he's one of us. God, what happened? I asked you, I prayed to you for 33 hours. 33. You didn't listen to me. Why? What are we going to do now? I don't know.
I just finished watching a press conference by the governor of Utah. And if you haven't seen it, then you definitely need to go back and watch it. I can't believe the words that came out of this man's mouth. I can, but I can't. He actually said that he prayed that it was not one of them, that he hoped that it was somebody from another country or from another state. He actually said that. That came out of his mouth because he's saying that it would have made it a lot easier because the type of things that happened to Charlie, those things don't happen in Utah, is what he's saying. But I also noticed too that they keep saying that this is political violence. But as far as I know, and from what I've heard about the guy who took out Charlie Kirk, he was actually a number 47 supporter. He was not from the left. He was actually from the right. He was actually one of them. So I don't understand why they keep trying to make this political. Now, as far as I heard, the guy that did this to Charlie, he didn't like him, is all that I heard them say. It had nothing to do with politics. I did not hear him mention politics, but he did not like Charlie.
We really got to see how things happened in the past in American history to black people when white people get angry at something that they don't have answers for. So let me tell you, you know what I'm talking about. So in a almost all white state of Utah, in an all white college, at an all white rally, one white man killed another white man. And there were two big responses to that. One response were people on the left, Democrats, in the whole spectrum, right? Conservative, centrist, leftist, far left Democrat. The white people who inherit those spaces have been lauding Charlie Kirk for days now, have been praising him, and some have been online crying, and none have mentioned his abject, disgusting racism, his attacks on black women, on black intelligence, on black professionals, his attacks on the transgender and gay community, his attacks on immigrants, and his desire for public executions, and his vitriol about Dr. Martin Luther King, his talk about George Floyd, just disgusting racism. And this is from the left praising him. And then from the right, from the president to that googly FBI guy, blaming Antifa, blaming transgender people, calling people on the left scum and degenerates when they didn't even know who did it. And they went further. Something like 20 historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, had to be shut down because of credible domestic terrorism threats. And then you have all these people online making videos and comments to black people and videos about black people threatening our lives. And why I say this is an example of America's history, because when a white person dies, particularly, but not exclusively, a white male, and white people don't have an answer for it, the immediate response in American history is to start blaming and attacking and killing black people. That's why our towns, hundreds of towns, not just Tulsa, Black Wall Street, hundreds of towns across the South and Midwest have been burned down because of white fury like we saw these past couple of days. And not just business districts and businesses, but churches, Christian churches, bombed and destroyed by white Christians. Our homes, and of course our people, in the form of public executions and lynchings, thousands, all because white people need an outlet for their anger, their misplaced anger. And that anger has too often been directed at black people. And you saw it live and in action these past couple of days. And what's Trump's response to that guy getting caught? He's sending the military to Memphis. No, but for real, I need Christians to explain to me what the governor of Utah meant when he said, I was praying to God that it was not one of us. Look, I grew up in a Pentecostal church. My grandfather was a bishop. My brother's a preacher. My other grandfather's a preacher. I got cousins, preachers. I've heard a lot of sermons in my life. I've heard a lot of prayers. I was in church every day from 0 to 21. I love my church family. I don't go to church anymore, but I love my church family. I love my people. Pentecostal Church of God in Christ. I've never heard a person say what that governor of Utah said. I prayed to God that it was not one of us. I prayed that it was someone from a different state who had driven into our state, or someone from a different country. What? So this is for Christians. People call themselves Christian. What did that man mean by that? Was he hoping that it was a non-white person? Because that's how I heard it. I heard it as being a non-white person first, and then a non-American second, presumably someone from a different country, which is so odd coming from Mormon territory, because Mormons go into South America, other countries, but South American and Central American countries that are Latino people, and work to convert them to Mormonism. What did he mean by that? That was such an odd statement. And look, I don't know that governor, and I saw he was emotional up there. And it seems like he was most emotional because it was a white guy that killed that other guy. So somebody help me understand that. Some Christians out there, help me understand that.
Let's pause and really unpack those words. I hoped it wouldn't be one of us. I hoped it would be someone from another state, another country. So to millions of Americans listening, these words were not just a slip-up. They carried the weight of America's long history of racial scapegoating. The governor may not have said black, Latino, or Asian directly, but the implication was loud and clear. He wished that the violence could be blamed on someone else, someone foreign, someone different, someone who isn't white. This moment isn't new in American history. Time and time again, when violence or chaos erupts, there is a rush to point fingers outward, to immigrants, to minorities, anyone but white America. Yet the truth is, a significant portion of mass violence in this country has always come from within. So from people raised here, from people who look just like the communities that often try to deny responsibility. This isn't about attacking every white American. It's about confronting the reality that violence is not an imported problem, but a homegrown one. And let's be honest, the right side wasted no time before the facts came out. They were practically salivating at the idea of blaming this on black people, on immigrants, on outsiders. There was even some threats made to black universities as if black community were automatically guilt by association. Yet as usual, black people had nothing to do with this. In fact, many in the black community didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was. They were minding their own business, living their lives, while conservatives were finding a reason for civil war. Now the truth has slapped them in the face. The shooter is one of them, one of their own, a white man. But we can all see the scapegoating, because when the violence comes from within, suddenly it's not about culture, it's not about race, it's not about those people. Suddenly, it's about mental health, about excuses. But when the suspect is black, the entire community gets blamed. If it was a black person who killed Charlie, you could have seen the weight that this story could have been given. The whole world would have known it was a black person that killed Charlie Kirk. And that's a double standard America is tired of seeing. So here is the lesson we cannot ignore. America cannot keep scapegoating its way out of hand truths. While white America continue denying that violence comes from within, we cannot keep praying that the next strategy will be caused by someone else, just so the mirror doesn't have to be held up. Governor's word were more than a poor choice. They revealed the quiet bias that still shapes how leaders think and how justice gets twisted. If America truly wants to heal, it starts by owning the truth. Violence is not a foreign disease. It is a reflection of the divisions, the hatred, and the denial living right here at home in America. Until we confront that, no amount of scapegoating will protect this nation. Because the real enemy is not others. The real enemies lies within ourselves, you know. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.
I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us.